guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ndifon Ntui. On this channel I make sewing tutorials. I post new videos on Wednesdays and on Saturdays, so please make sure to back on those days in order to watch new content. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. If you are a beginner or if you are a person not push up on your skill, I offer online courses. I'll be showing a demo how to make a jumpsuit for you to watch and decide if it be convenient for you to learn online. If you're interested, send a Telegram message number that you can see on the screen. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the video. Continue to have a lovely day. Bye bye. Alright, welcome to today's video. In this video I'm going to show you how to make the dress that you've seen on the thumbnail. Now, to begin, the fabric that was used for the top part of the dress was custom made. Now the dress is made by a fashion house called Sab, and those dresses are couture dresses, go for thousands and thousands of dollars. So they have the money to put into their R&D in order to create custom fabrics for whatever design that the designer sketches down. But when you are an independent fashion designer like myself, most times if you want to make stuff that look like that, you always have to find loopholes and ways around working with the materials that are provided to you at the market, which is what I have done here. So the red fabric that you see here is this here is bridal satin. Okay, so this part here is bridal satin. Now this is going to be the bottom part of the dress. As you guys have seen, is the only red piece here. Now this part that you can see here is the lace that I'm going to use for the body, and this black part here that I'm going to put underneath this part piece here is Duchess satin. So this Duchess satin, this is bridal satin. This here has a little stretch, so I'm going to use this for the body, just a little. So this is what I'm going to use for the top part. I'm going over the place, but this is what I'm going to use for the top part of the dress. It has very nice print, and it shines. I'm sure a magpie will love the dress. Yeah, and also if you notice something for the sleeve, okay, now for the body I'm going to use this satin here. For the sleeve, you can see that the sleeve has a bit of stretching to do because it's going around. You need to be able to put your hands in, and you need to be able to use your hands for your day-to-day function, even though the dress is a dress that you wear to like a formal event. But for that I'm going to use this fabric over here. This is still some sort of satin, but this has a lot more stretch than all of these ones, okay, and it's going to sit under this guy over here, so the difference in the black between this and this would not really show, since this also has some shine. The reason why I use this is so that by the time I'm done making the dress, whoever is putting on the dress will be comfortable. You will need to see my video on how to draft a bodice in order to understand the next step that you would see. So I have made a video on that before. That's another class entirely. So if you don't know how to draft the bodice, go and see my video and come back. The bodice is going to stop at the half cut. And here also I forgot, for my lining I'm using cotton lining. So here, what you see here is the bodice that I have drafted. If you don't know how to draft this, once again, make sure to see my video on how to draft the bodice in order to know what I have done so far. I don't want to make that video so that this video is not too long. Now, if you are making this, okay, if you're making this for let's say a person that has a bust size of between 33 all the way to 37, I'm going to come from the shoulder, and I will come to 6 inches, okay, because you can see that this is an off shoulder. The shoulder doesn't start from here, it's a tube, okay. So what I'm going to do is this. If I was dealing with 33 to 37, I would come down by 6 inches, but the bust measurement, the person's bust measurement I'm working with is 45. I think I've shown that before the video started. So I'm going to come down to 7 inches and make a mark, okay. So if you have a bust size of let's say 39, 40, 45, all the way to 45, you can use 7 inches. And also depends on how much you want to reveal. 7 inches is just enough for what I'm trying to achieve, okay. So after you have marked 7 inches, okay, after you've marked 7 inches, I want you to make a curve from here to the armhole. Now, after you have done that, the next thing you want to place is the person's bust span, person's nipple to nipple. So for this size, I'm going to use 10 inches, okay? 10 inches divided by 2 is 5 plus half an inch, okay? That's 5.5. So I'm going to make a mark at 5.5 over here. Okay, so you can see I marked all the points, drew a line to connect them together. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to have to place the underbust, lift the underbust up first by half an inch. Okay, because we intend to do some padding here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up by half an inch. Sorry, let me measure this. Okay, I'm going to come up by half an inch from this underbust line, and I'm going to make a mark here. The pattern I'm about to make is very, very similar to the pattern that we've used in the past especially for our off-shoulder bustier. There are a lot of similarities. So if you want a lot more detail, go and also see the video on how to draft an off-shoulder bustier. When we're done with this, I'm going to place 2.5 under here for my underbust curve. Okay, in the video for how to draft an off-shoulder bustier, I explained underbust curve, and I gave the numbers you should use for different bust sizes. Alright, so check out that video as well for extra knowledge. Okay, so here I've created the underbust curve. The next thing is we're going to come to the top here. Okay, you see the center line that we had, the straight line. We're going to come to the left. We're going to make a mark at half an inch, and to the right we're going to make a mark at 1 inch. So from here to here is half inch, from here to here is 1 inch. Then we connect our lines together. Okay, so that's it. Basically, the next thing is to pay back all our allowances that we've taken out. So here we've taken away 2.5 inside here. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to make a mark at 2.5. First, up here we have 1.5 that we've taken away from here. So we're going to make a mark 1.5 up there as well. We're going to connect the line. And after this, we're going to keep our regular allowance. So for my regular sewing allowance, I'm going to keep 1.5. Okay, and then connect this together as well. Okay, next thing is also you want to have, especially around the front here, you want to keep half inch of sewing allowance running everywhere on top. Okay, then you see this, fade it into the allowance as you get to the side, but on top of here keep half inch of sewing allowance at the top. Alright, so that we won't need to do that when we are cutting on our fabric. The next step is to cut out the pattern. Okay, so now this is all for the patterns for the front. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draft the pattern for the back. Now the pattern for the back is very similar to the pattern for the front. The only difference is that I'm going to keep 2 inches before I start drafting. Okay, so I've gone ahead to draft the back bodice, and I've added my dart. So because of the darts I have added, let me just add on my allowances. So this is a 1 inch dart. Normally I'd have kept 1.5 everywhere on the side for my sewing allowance, but because of the 1 inch dart at the bottom here, I'm going to keep 2.5, and over here I'm going to keep 1.5 for my allowance. Okay. Okay, now remember at the front, our armhole, see this, our body slopes down into the armhole, so we need to make the back to be on the same level with the front at the armhole and at the points for the allowance. So you see this here, what we're going to do is, you see this our armhole line where we have the angle. We're going to simply come and rule a straight line from here all the way down. So you see this straight line, just a simple straight line across. If you want to have a deeper back, if you want a U at the back, you can simply do that at this point. What you do is you're going to simply come down as deep as you want to. So for this, I think I'm going to just come in by, let's say, only 1 inch, and I'm going to rule my line from normal point out to the 1 inch. You see that? So there's a slight curve at the back. Also, I'm going to lift the back at the bottom from my regular line, or if you want to take from your allowance, because this half inch I have running at the bottom is the allowance. From the bottom part here, see this, from this our allowance line, I'm going to come from the allowance line, I'm going to come to where the top of my tape. I'm placing 1 inch on that allowance line and I'm marking the top of my tape. I'm going to connect this point here to this side here, okay? And that's it for the back. Okay, so now this pattern will be used to cut the lace, okay? The lace, the black fabric, okay? So you're cutting the lace, you're cutting the black fabric and the lining. So I'm going to give you tips on how you cut the lace so that the patterns lay beautifully. Okay, so now most laces like this would come with some sort of pattern like this one has. So it'd be best if you utilize if you place your patterns in such a way that when you are done, it still shows that it still follows some sort of pattern. I don't know if I'm making it, if I'm passing my message across perfectly. For instance, for me, you see this pattern here that we have, that's the heart shape that tapers in and does all of this. I want to have this here in the center panel of my front, at least the center, that's the center point. I want it to sit in the center point of my bust. So you see this here, this is the center front. I want it to lay like this, okay? I want the center line and all of the grandeur and everything to sit on the center line. So you see that this is how I want it. This is the center piece. What I'm going to do, you see this center line I have here, okay? This is the only like straight line I can use to judge what I'm doing. So I'm going to make a fold on that center line, okay? Simply place my pattern on top of it. Okay, and with that I have cut out the center piece, and you can see, look at the way the center piece is looking. That's heart shape, okay? That heart shape has been, and then this like nice center piece has been captured for the center piece. So I'm going to do the same thing for the sides and for the back. Laces will be different, so you just try to apply what I have shown you here to whatever lace you are working on. Alright, so like I said, I have cut all the parts. So you can see I have the fabric, the lace, the fabric that's supposed to be underneath the lace, and under here the last two steps I have is the lining. That's the same thing going on for all the other sides. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pad the center with interfacing. Okay, so this is the interfacing I'm going to use, lightweight woven fusible interfacing. I'm going to use this on one level on all sides first, and then but on the bust, the side and the center front and the side of the front, that's both sides of the front, I'm going to do some padding on it. So if you don't know how to pad for this video, see my video on how to pad an off-shoulder bustier. That's going to explain to you what I would do here. Alright, so what you can see here is the back. I have completely stitched all the three pieces together on one side. So let me show you what I did on this other part right here. Alright, so the first thing is to stitch the lining on top of the fabric. Okay, so you see you have the lining, the lace and the fabric. Okay, so you place the lace on top of the front side of the fabric and place the lining over it like so. Now I'm going to stitch across the top. Now this is the top, this is the bottom. You can see where I made the notch for the darts. So I'm going to stitch across the top first. Now after you have done that, you see this is what we have done. The next thing you want to do is you want to come to where you have the notch for the darts over here, and you want to fold it down on that point, okay? And now the next thing is to hold the dart across from the lining into the fabric. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to stitch on top of the top. So you see this, I'm going to have all sides of my rough edge inside here facing towards the lining. I'm going to top stitch on top of here, from here all the way down. After I have done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch from here all the way straight up. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the excess. Okay, so what I'm talking about cutting your patterns. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is what we will have. Okay, see the way this is looking. By the time we fold in our zipper allowance of whatever is left for our zipper allowance inside there, you see the way the pattern is symmetrical across the back. It's not that we have this pattern here and a different pattern here. Okay, place it like that so that everything falls in beautifully. Okay, so what we have over here is the center piece. So what we're simply going to do is join it to the two side pieces. Okay, so you see this is the side that we are working on. So I'm going to join the side to the center. It's quite easy. It's just to place, see this, place the fabric on top of the lining, place the lace on top of the fabric, the front side of the fabric, lace on top, turn it over like so. I'm going to go from here, I'm going to sew from here to the top. You see the way I join the side to the center. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. Basically just the same thing on this other side. So let me join here, and after I join it, I'll be back. So after joining two sides to the center piece, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my ironing table, and I'm going to spread and iron these seams flat and secure it with my interfacing. Now in the video that I have recommended to you previously, that's how to pad an off-shoulder bustier, you would see how to iron it and everything. So check out that video if you don't know how to iron your bustiers flat. Alright, so you can see I have joined both sides of the bust and I have ironed it. I hope the pattern is allowing you to see what I'm talking about. Look at the inside. The inside has been flattened. You can see the way the back has been spread. So make sure you check out that video. So basically I'm going to join the lining in the same way. I'm going to join the two sides to the center front. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. You have done that, the next thing you want to do is you want to basically place your lining on top of your fabric like I have done, and you're going to stitch from one end. Now you notice the way I kept it on top. This is the front of the fabric. You keep the front of the lining facing here and the rough side facing up here. Okay, so when you've done that, the next thing you want to do is you want to start from here, and I'm going to stitch from here all the way across to the other side. Alright, so you see here, this is the front. I have ironed the top part. So now I'm going to join the side. Okay, I'm going to join the back to the front on the sides. Now whatever you kept for your allowance, you're going to need to hold the same thing now. So that's your actual allowance. That I think here we kept 1.5. So I'm now going to sew 1.5 from the fabric into the lining. Okay. After making the joining, you can see what we have here. Oops, look at it correct, there's a little issue there. But you can see what we have here basically. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side, okay? And after I do that, I'm going to spread and iron the seams that I have here flat so that I can, the seams that we have here, I'm going to need that this joining. You spread it flat and iron it. Next thing we'd have to work on is the sleeve. Okay, now the sleeve is pretty easy because there is no armhole on the body. The sleeve is just pretty much a cylinder that we're going to attach. Before you mark your sleeve length, what I want you to do is I want you to keep a space of -4 inches. Okay, so I want to keep a space of 4 inches from the top, sorry. So you see from the edge of the paper, I came down to 4 inches. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my sleeve length, okay? Throw out your 4 inches, okay? So you see this, come to 4 inches, you make a mark. You place take your sleeve length from the 4 inches down. So the sleeve length I'm working with is 23 inches. So I'm going to make a mark here at 23. You see that? Make a mark at 23. And then we're going to roll our line here and here. So now the next measurement I'm going to place is my bicep measurement. Now the bicep measurement I'm working with is 18 inches. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to place 9. Okay? And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and place the wrist measurement. So the wrist measurement is 8.5, but I'm going to open this up to 10 inches so that her hand can enter and come out with a bit of ease. Now the next thing you want to do, now if you see in the image, you'll notice that at this part of the sleeve, it comes from the armhole and it has like some sort of crown. Okay, there's a roundness about the top of the sleeve. So I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to give the sleeve some form of roundness at the top. Okay, and now next thing, to simply cut this out, I'm going to add ½ inch at the bottom, ½ inch on the side. Next thing is I'm going to use this pattern to cut my lace, okay, the 2 sleeves for my lace, and I'm also going to use the pattern to cut the fabric and the lining. Now, as for the fabric and the lining, remember I showed you the stretchy fabric at the beginning. That's what I'm going to use. I'll use the same fabric to cut both the fabric and the lining. I'm not going to use my cotton lining to cut the lining for the sleeve. I hope that is clear. So okay, so like I said, I have 2 sides of the same fabric. So you see this, the same fabric was used to cut both the fabric and the lining. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open one side up, lay it flat like I have done. Okay, I'm going to get my lace and lay it on top. Alright, and now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch on the lining. Even though it's made of the same fabric, I'm going to stitch it on. Now at the top, you see this, I'm covering what I just placed there. I'm going to stitch from here all the way down. I'm going to do this at the top and at the bottom first. First of all, turn it inside out. You see this? So we have lined it. After you turn it inside out, the next thing you want to do is you're going to lay this flat like so. So you see this? You're placing the 2 sides here together. Alright, and then you're going to sew whatever allowance you kept. Alright, so by the time you get to the end of the fabric, you can simply just continue into the lining. You see this, when you are sewing, it simply leads you into the lining, so just keep sewing. Halfway through the lining, you're going to stop and you're going to back stitch. Okay, now if we continue sewing, we're going to seal everything all the way to the end. So what you want to do is after you have back stitched and you stopped, you're going to keep a space of approximately 5 inches. Okay, and you're going to continue sealing. From here, you'll be able to see where you started from. Turn, you will see the hole that it just came out from. Okay, you can now seal this hole by just stitching on top of it. All right. So you see this, and with that we have made a sleeve. Okay, so you see this, and with that we have created the sleeve. Okay, so after I have made both my sleeves, the next thing I'm going to do is just to simply tack them. On. Alright, so you see this, I'm going to bring where I have my joining. Okay, I'm going to bring the points where I have my joining. I'm going to simply align it with the joining on my body. And then I'm going to just tack back and forth. Alright, so it's now time for me to mix this red, to add the red one underneath here. So how am I going to do that? First of all, consider how the length from the shoulder to this point. Now the underbust length is 14, so that means the half cut where this line is 16. Okay, the total dress length I'm working with is 60 inches. 60 inches minus 16 inches, that's what we have at the end here already. 16 inches minus 16 inches is 44 inches. Okay, now as for the width of the fabric, I'm going to personally I'm trying to fit this red here is 4 yards. I'm trying to fit 4 yards into this small space that I have here. So what that means is that I'm going to give the center piece, that's the front, all the sides of the front, that's from here to here. Okay, I'm going to try to stuff 2 yards in this space. The back, one side is going to have 1 yard, and then the other side of the back over here is going to have the remaining 1 yard. So that's how I intend to distribute the 4 yards. Now I intend to put side pockets into the side, so that means I'm going to actually cut them separately. I'm going to divide my 4 yards into 3. 1 yard for here, 1 yard for here, 2 yards for the center. So there's going to be a line here so that I can install my side pockets. So that's how I'm going to cut the width. As for the length, 44 inches, I'm going to add 2 inches of allowance to that 44 inches. So I'm going to cut 46 inches. Okay, so now I have cut all the sides. So the piece that you can see here is the center piece. That's the side that would face the front. So what I want you to do now is attach the smaller size to it. Okay, so you see this, I want you to attach the side. Okay, that's the two sides that are supposed to be 1 yard. I want you to attach them together on the sides. Okay, so I'm going to go from here all the way up. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so after joining this, I'm going to join the other side to this part of the front, but I've done this side, so simply just repeat the same thing. Alright, so after joining both sides to the center, the next thing is to make our pleats on top of the body. Okay, is to make our pleats on top of the body, but you want to make sure that as you are pleating, that the joining on both sides of the bottom, okay, that's here and here, okay, make sure that it matches with this joining, okay, and this joining. So, but besides that, it's just regular pleats from here all the way down, which is what So as for this joining that we have here, you need to use an overlocker to finish it properly. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do before we fix the zipper is we're going to come to the back. Of course, I'm going to keep 8 inches away from my joining. So you see this joining that I have here. Okay, I'm going to align both of them perfectly, and 8 inches after there, that's where I'm going to start to stitch from. Okay. Alright, so now after this step, you can simply just hem the bottom, but I will not film myself hemming the bottom because it's just hemming the bottom. So you can do that at the end, and that will take some time, and this video is already has already taken a lot of time. So let me fix the zipper. It's just a regular way I've been fixing my zippers. Alright, so I have attached the bottom end. Okay, and that's the zipper at the back. So yeah, this is it basically. As for the pockets, you can do that by yourself by watching the video, but basically I'm done with the dress. So make sure you also hem the dress too. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this far. If you've come this far, have a lovely day. Bye bye.